Live.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of 305 Takes. Uh, and it is a fantasy Monday. Me and Angel are going to talk about some of the stars and busts we saw this past weekend and much, much more. Before we get started, we'd like to thank E2G Sports Network, our presenting sponsor today. You can check out a bunch of content covering you guys across the entire week 2 of the NFL schedule and much, much more on E2G. Shout out to them for being the presenting sponsor of 305 Takes, where you can tune in live every Monday at 2:30, where we are presenting to you guys today, and on Fridays at 3 p.m. throughout the football season. Now, let's get straight to it. I got the hat on. Let's get straight to it. Let's talk some football with my hometown team, the Miami Dolphins. What a game, Angel. What a game. I
It was
honestly,
insane.
I still can't wrap my head around what happened in that football game. It really does not make sense.
As much as I don't want to be like I don't want to push aside anything that the Dolphins did, but I want to focus on the part of like the Ravens. Bro, what happened to this Ravens defense? They used to be top of the line, and if it wasn't for those 2 picks by Tua, who knows how many yards the Dolphins legitimately could have had on offense? And then you give up 28 points in the fourth quarter when you had the lead by 21 points, and Lamar could not have played any better through 3 quarters. So that was the thing for me about the Ravens. But to go down to your Dolphins before you go, I do want to give Tua credit. He played well. Waddle, give him a lot of credit because when Tyreek was out of the game, he held it down and was still helping the offense move in chunk plays. And Mike McDaniel for staying aggressive with the play calling. Going into the fourth quarter, he was really aggressive with certain play calls, and it worked in their favor. And unlike the Ravens, they were like, no, this is still a game. There's 1 quarter left. We can do this. And they did it. So
It
much
it
credit to
doesn't
them.
make sense. It doesn't make sense. To your point about Tua, he goes 13 of 17, 199 yards and 3 touchdowns in just the fourth quarter. Those were his
Insane.
stats for just the fourth quarter. And just looking at this game overall, it's this is why I just don't understand, because that first half was very concerning if you're a Dolphins fan.
It was
Very concerning. The Ravens were 1 yard away from scoring 35 points in one
in the
half
first
against the
half,
Dolphins.
yeah.
In the first half, they were 1 yard away, and they got stopped on third down. Then we saw the box snap on fourth down. They were able to recover it, but it was fourth down when it was the Dolphins' ball. So, I mean, I just don't understand. And like you said, shout out to McDaniel for keeping the team in the game, having the team rally around, and being aggressive enough to say, "Hey, we're still in this game. We have probably the fastest offense we've ever seen in the NFL," and that's really what stood out to me. I just up and down the roster, it's just speed. Waddle and Hill were running just wild all through the Ravens secondary. I don't understand how they continue to let Waddle be so open in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And then you saw at the end of the game where Edmonds rips off that run that puts them in
Yeah.
into the
Big.
red zone.
It was huge.
It's just the speed comes at you all the time, and for your point about the Ravens, they absolutely did collapse on themselves. But at some point, does that speed just like do you just start getting gas and you can't match it anymore? Because they had Peters played in his first game, I believe, in 20 weeks since he tore his
Yeah.
ACL. Humphreys was on the injury report all week, and he played, but they were taking him off. It looked like he was kind of on a snap count for them. So it was a lot of rookies, a bunch of fourth rounders, and shout out to Tua. He really made the plays. The second half there's absolutely nothing that you can say he did wrong in that second half. The first half, okay,
It was
different story, but
questionable.
it was a completely different story for the entire team in the first half. I've never seen X be burned so bad like he was by Bateman on that slant. Like he got cooked. He
Yeah,
got
it
straight
was
up cooked.
bad.
And like it's just even more incredible because that play happens where they get the giant snap, the giant touchdown on the slant, and the first play of the game they take 103 yards for a
Yep,
touchdown.
to the
Like,
house.
you don't win those games. Like that's blowout city. Like you're on the way to being blown out. I honestly, even in the third quarter, I was like, all right, whatever. The Dolphins will be 1-1, but they really need to win 2 of their next 3 games. They got Buffalo and they got Cincinnati coming up. So I'm like, all right, you're 1-1. We knew this would be the tough part of the season. So if you can get to 2 wins, I think if you go 2-2 in that 4-game stretch, you'll be fine. They're already at 2 wins, so now you're basically playing with house money. You know that the team you have the team's going to have the confidence that they're going to be able to come back from any deficit that they face. And now you're playing a Cincinnati team, or you're playing Buffalo, who is obviously the crown jewel of your division and of the conference. So let's try to go in there and get a first victory with Tua, and then you're playing Cincinnati, who's already 0-2 and doesn't look like the team that they were last year in the Super Bowl. So this is setting up pretty perfectly for the Dolphins, honestly.
Yeah, no, I mean the Dolphins look good. The only thing was just now we need to see this consistently because last week it was mainly the defense that played much better than the offense, while the offense was kind of okay. And now this week, the defense looked really bad in the first half. They did well in the second half. So it was like a tale of two different teams. So I do want to see this more consistently from the Dolphins. And man, I don't know if Tua's gonna have a game like this again. Almost 500 yards passing, 6 touchdowns. Like that's an incredible stat line. The only thing I would have loved to know what his stat line would have been if he didn't throw those 2 picks.
Yeah, that would have been interesting to see. And the second pick was just both of them were honestly unbelievable plays, both by Williams. But the second pick was kind of like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
Like,
what is he throwing?
and I'm harsh on Tua, and this is the first time. This is the type of performance he needs for me to make me into a believer, because
Yeah,
he was absolutely unbelievable. Like you said, I would like to see it more consistently, and it doesn't have to be the yardage. Like, he doesn't have to get to this yardage. This was a career high for him. But if he can do this more consistently, not just have one interception, then I think you're in a totally different ballgame, because with the speed that you have on the roster, you have a coach that seems to be able to game plan to get these guys open. So you might be at the point where, okay, he might not be where we thought he was going to be, but if he can sometimes get to that level, and then at the other times he can just be consistently good, then you're actually cooking with something there.
yeah. And these offseason additions really helped getting him all this speed of Waddle, Hill, Gasecki. You bring back Gasecki, you bring in Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert, you bring in Cedric Wilson as well. You gave him a lot of talent, and now yesterday he looked like the Tua a lot of people saw at Alabama. So this does bring up the question to me. It's just like, okay, I saw you put on a great performance, Tua, but are you really that guy? That's still going to be in my head because I still think at the end of the day, unless he has like 4,800 yards, 40 touchdowns, and maybe like 10 picks, I'm not going to consider him the guy. That's just me.
I mean, he can honestly get there just off the yards after catch, because even with the insane yardage that he put up this game, he still got 222 yards after catch from his receivers.
Yeah,
So, like, he's going to be able to benefit from their elite speed, because
yeah,
that play that Waddle made, where it looked like he was about to be tackled or forced out of bounds, and then was still able to keep going for more yards, was crazy. Like,
yeah,
that's elite. Like, that you can't teach. That's not something. Okay, we have a guy that can take. No, that is elite speed on the offense for the Miami Dolphins. And it just feels so good as a Dolphins fan, not only because you do get that come from behind victory, but it also just feels good because we have the offensive guru that we hired this offseason. You see tangible results in week 2. Week 1, okay, it was a little bit of a slog. The Patriots honestly just might have a good defense. Bill Belichick, that's where he made his bread and butter. So, okay, you can put that past you. But the fact is that they continue to score touchdowns in this game. It wasn't,
yeah,
oh, let's go run Jason Sanders. That's how it's been my entire life with the Dolphins. Even if they had a chance at coming back, oh, we still needed to score another touchdown and get a 2-point conversion because the last drive we stalled out and kicked a field goal. So that's the most positive thing for me, is that they continue to get into the end zone. And then with Tua, one more point. That play he made where he spun out of the pocket and
it was
still
a good
completed
play.
the pass for the touchdown, that looks like the Tua that we saw at Alabama. That looks like pre-injury Tua. So if he is feeling more confident and comfortable with his body as we keep getting further and further removed from the injury, that could also help him just as far as an athlete playing better. If you have that confidence and you're not thinking, oh, I have to protect my body, you can play more freely. So I think it was just second half on was there's nothing from positives to take from the Miami side. First half, they're definitely going to have to discuss that, see what went wrong, because the defense was getting gashed. I don't know what was happening with Xavier Howard. The first interception was definitely a force. The corner made a great play on it, but he still forced it into tight coverage. The second one, that's a little more inexcusable for me, but still great play on the pass.
The only thing now we got to see after this game is Baltimore is losing Whit Martindale that big of a loss for the Ravens, because it looks like they almost brought their whole defense back from injury, and I was like, okay, now they're going to be good. Like, they're going to show that last year was just an injury bug, but bro, that was bad for Ravens. To me, this is one of the more all-time collapse, because I never expected this from the Ravens. Never.
And the crazy part is that this is an offense that should be built like probably better than any other in the league to maintain a league because
to run the football,
their bread and butter is to run the football. Yeah, I don't know. I think their biggest thing is that they don't have a running back that they can trust. They were running Kenyon Drake, Mike Davis, and Justice Hill out there, and they were net negatives.
They need to get
basically their entire running game.
Gus Edwards back.
Their entire running game came from Lamar, and I just don't even understand how that last touchdown that he had, where he just ran right through the middle of the Dolphins defense, was not the nail in the coffin.
Yeah. No, it was going into the fourth quarter. I went to the barbershop. I got to the barbershop. I see Lamar get this touchdown. I was like, oh my God, it's over. Like,
it's over.
And next thing you know, I'm getting my cut. I'm seeing the Dolphins are coming back. I'm like, wow, okay, they're making it a game. Then it was a tie game. I'm like, bro, the Ravens, this is bad. This is bad, but we got
ESPN Stats and Info put this out there yesterday. The Ravens became first NFL team in 12 years to lose a game in which they led by 21 or more points in the fourth quarter. From 2011 to 2022, teams were 711 to 0 when leading by 21 or more points in the fourth quarter.
Now they have the one.
That is crazy. I just can't believe that comeback was led by the Miami Dolphins. In my entire lifetime, I would have never dreamed that the Dolphins would be able to do that. That's literally our Patriots 28-3 Super Bowl moment.
Yeah, it is, actually. It is. But now we got to move on, because Myles, this week, I will just say, for anyone who doesn't know and they're not in our league, Myles' team went off again, but mine is – I'm holding the lead in terms of points for this week just by a tad bit, just by a tad. I'm going to tell everyone what Myles has scored so far. Okay. Myles has 139 points, and he has 2 guys left to play. Pretty good.
2 guys left to play. Yeah.
And for me, I have 160 points, and I have 3 guys left to play.
Yeah, you probably get this week.
I probably get this week, but people, Myles.
Who do you have left? Yeah.
You embarrassed me last week, so I was like, oh my gosh, bro. It led to me revamping my a good amount of my team.
Shook up the league with Josh Allen and Derrick Henry trade.
But then I got Dalvin Cook, who's playing tonight. It made me move Miles Sanders to a starting spot. It made me move Lamar to a starting spot. So everyone, read this lineup. I have Lamar, 42 points. Miles Sanders, Dalvin Cook haven't played yet. Jalen Waddle, 40 points. Curtis Samuel, 22 points. Mark Andrews, 25 points. Mike Evans, who got ejected, 9 points.
That was tough.
Patriots defense, 10 points. Tucker, 10 points. But now I'm going to read to you guys Miles' lineup. Joe Burrow, 17 points. Connor, 7.
Whatever.
CEH, 7. Cooper Kupp, 31. Tyreek Hill, 42. Tyler Lockett, 19 points. The Steelers defense gave him 2. And then he has a punter who gave him 4.4.
Yeah. But and I still got Goddard and Tyler Bass, the kicker from Buffalo, to play tonight. But we were just talking before we got offline. I don't know if I want to spill the beans and share my secrets, but It seems like as far as fantasy and really across the NFL, receivers are really the money value spot now. Like
Mhm.
that seems to be the thing. To make a basketball comparison, you know how every team is looking for a stretch forward that can, be
Yeah,
your center
make it
and not
the
give up on
whole.
defensively. Yeah, and still can play.
It
It seems
opens up the floor. You're much more faster on defense. You're way more athletic. You can push the ball up the floor.
It seems like if you have a good receiving core, and it doesn't have to be just a single guy. I think that's what we saw with the Bengals last year. That if you have a core, you're going to run into teams. Okay, you can be the Rams and have Jalen Ramsey, but what does the rest of that secondary look like? Or you can be the Dolphins and have an Xavier Howard, but what does the rest of that secondary look like? And from where it seems, it looks like teams are going to start investing more into the entire receiving core in general. And you look at the Bengals; they go Chase, Higgins, Boyd. You look at the Dolphins; they go Waddle, Hill, and then you kind of have an in between with that third spot, whether it's Gesicki, it could be uh,
Wilson.
Cedric Wilson, or they even had Trent Sherfield out there yesterday. So it seems like it could be indispensable. And then you have the truly elite guys. You have the Cooper Cups that's going to put up points for you. We already mentioned Hill. Devontae's usually one of those guys. He had a
Especially
little
if
bit of
it's
a
a
rough week this
PPR
week.
league.
Yeah, so I think really receiver is the spot that I'm going to start targeting extremely heavy. In one of my leagues, this was a league that I drafted the same night that me and Angel drafted for our E2G league. We just made that league last second, and I didn't like my draft position, and the board just fell to me really weirdly. So my first four of my first five picks were either I just called them pass catchers because the second round pick was Kelsey. So my first pick was Jordan Jefferson, or yeah, Justin Jefferson. My second pick was Travis Kelsey. Then I went Hill and Waddle back to back, and then I picked a running back, and then I went Terry McLaurin. So in that league, I am absolutely balling. In the first week, I put up 200 points. This week, I got 148 points to go, and I still haven't had Jefferson or Cousins play. So I really think if you have receivers, one, you could always trade if you get in a vulnerable position at running back, and two, they're going to put up points. Like they're going to put up points. Okay, yeah, running back, they might give you 150 yards in 1 week. Receivers could go 150, then 90. A down week, 90 yards with a touchdown.
And if they get 9 catches for those 90 yards, that's 18 points right there.
You're getting so many points, even if it's considered a down game for the receiver.
Yep. And I mean, for anyone that doesn't know, Curtis Samuel right now is looking like a steal in a lot of teams and a lot of leagues as well, because he got yesterday 22 points, but he only had 7 catches, 78 yards, a touchdown, 1 carry for 21 yards. He only had 9 targets because Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson get a lot, but he made the most of it, and it works.
And similarly, playing on the opposite side in that game, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He came on late last year, was an absolute stud, and then I don't even think he was drafted that highly. I want to say his average draft Brown was probably like fifth, sixth round, maybe.
Wait, let me see. I could pull up Moises' team. Moises has
And
him.
and he went. I think he's got nine or more receptions in 4 straight games, dating back to last season. So I think receiver
He
is
was the
honestly the money ball position.
6th-round pick.
Yeah, sixth round. Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that's 9 receptions for you yesterday.
And he got in total, how many points did he get? He
In
got
the 20s.
39 points.
39. Wow. That's
30.
insane.
That's insane. And I feel like that's where Moises is probably ahead of all of us because, bro, he has Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Cortland Sutton, Gabe Davis, Chris Godwin. Like, you can't say he has the best receiving core out of all of us.
Yeah, he's definitely stacked at receiver. So, well, I'll be very interested to see how his team plays out because I think moving forward, that is the position I'm going to hold in most regard is the wide receiver position.
And I think that probably leads perfect into our next topic, talking about how they score so many points. Let's talk about the stars of the week in fantasy. So I'm just going to name a couple since Myles has his hat on. Tua, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Gasecki, who had 14 points. Wish we would have started him in E2G. We started Jonnu Smith, who gave us a donut. Then we have Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews as stars. So that's already a couple from this game. You also have Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb was absolutely insane. Had 3 touchdowns to his total.
Yeah, he got the hat trick.
Yeah, 30 points. Who else had a pretty good game? Aaron Jones, 32 points. He was awesome last night. He was. We got I said Nick Chubb, Graham Gano, the kicker from the New York Giants. So for anyone who has him or doesn't have him, he got a total of 17 points yesterday.
It's because that was what their entire offense was kicking field goals.
He had 2 field goals of over 50 yards. So
that's a complete matchup swing right there. 17 points by your kicker.
17 points, and then if we want to go like who honorable mentions, Zach Ertz gave his owners 15 points. Pretty good. Like considering the tight end spot is usually very top heavy and he's not what he used to be. But I would say those are some of the stars that I had to list for this week. But I know you have some stars as well.
Yeah, I wanted to continuing with the wide receiver trend, I wanted to give a shout out to this year's rookie class as we had Drake London go for 8 catches, 68 yards, and a touchdown against the Los Angeles Rams. Chris Olave didn't give you as much fantasy points wise, but was the leading target getter for the New Orleans Saints with 13 targets on the day. 5 receptions, 80 yards, and then Garrett Wilson. He looked like an absolute stud. He was cooking up that Browns secondary. He goes for 8 receptions, 102 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So I think these are guys that probably weren't drafted pretty highly. I would stay away from some of them fantasy wise. I would like to see a little bit more consistency out of, but maybe if you get a down week next week, you can look to get a little buy low action on them because people might see the stats that they put up and the numbers that they put up in fantasy this week, start inserting them to the starting lineup, and then if they don't get that same production, they might be looking to move on from one of these guys pretty quickly. But especially Olave, I would really target, especially in PPR leagues. I mean, 13 targets.
I don't know about Olave. I don't like the way the Saints offense looks, and because I know who's getting the targets in the end zone. It's going to be Mike Thomas, and then second is Jarvis Landry.
I don't know. I don't know about the Landry. I feel like his will fall off. The only reason I do like it in general is because I think that they're going to remain more pass happy than they are going to rely on the rushing game because Kamara's already banged up, and Ingram is not the Ingram of what we've seen before. He's pretty close to being washed at this point. He's had better days, so I think they're going to remain pretty pass happy. But yeah, you do have a crowded receiving room with, like you said, Mike Thomas and the addition of Jarvis Landry this offseason. And they're going to try to get the ball in Taysom Hill's hands as much as possible as well. So you do have a little bit of a crowded room. London, I think, would be a solid target because I still don't understand why Kyle Pitts can't be good in the NFL. Like, I just don't understand what's going on there.
I don't know if it's the matchup or just the quarterback just does not see him.
It's honestly one of the most confusing things that has happened. I mean, the guy was consensus top pick, was the highest ranked tight end we've seen in years, and we can all physically see the gifts that he has, and it just hasn't translated on the field yet. So that one is.
We see it on tape. We see him beat his matchups. He's doing everything right.
And he's like literally one of those guys that you just have to take one look at. Like you see the Sunday night graphic where they're saying their name in their school, and you're like, oh, I can tell that this guy is a problem. Like it's one of those guys where you're watching with a casual fan, and you're like, oh, where did Kyle Pitts go to school? Why have I heard the name Kyle Pitts before? It's because he should be a generational talent, but we just haven't seen it translate yet. So London would be a solid pickup. I feel like, because he scored the touchdown and he got the 8 receptions, whoever had him, I'm assuming, had them on their bench. Maybe they started him. Because of that, I'm assuming that yesterday's price is not today's price, is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, it's true. And Garrett Wilson now might get more targets than Elijah Moore, who is supposed to be the security blanket for Flacco until Wilson comes back. So
The
now,
only reason I'm scared a little bit about Wilson is that his production coincided with Braxton Berrios being on the injury report this
yeah,
week, and he got a lot of his snaps out of the slot. And it seems like they kind of want to use him outside, so it looks like he's going to have to steal reps from Corey Davis if
yeah,
that's going to happen. But if they are comfortable with him in the slot, I mean, he was cooking. And if you look at the actual snaps run, Elijah Moore played 66 snaps, Corey Davis 55, Garrett Wilson 43, and then only 16 for Barrios. And Wilson runs 37 routes and gets 14 targets. So clearly there's a connection with Joe Flacco. And how crazy is it? How crazy is it that in the year of our football Lord 2022, the top two passing leaders in the NFL,
our Carson Wentz and Tua,
and number three,
Joe Flacco.
dude, what are you what?
You think that's crazy?
That's
There's a,
literally a parody. Like that can't be real life in our year of the football Lord 2022.
wait, I'm gonna tell you a crazier stat. I have it here on my phone. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm gonna do some research, but I saw it not long ago. You know how long it's been since the Lions, Jaguars, Giants, and Jets all won on the same day?
Well, I saw it just for the Giants and Jets. It's been since like 1955.
For all four of these teams, it's been 3,935 days, which is the equivalent of 10 years and 7 months.
That's insane. That's insane.
Ever since I don't know if it's true. NFL memes posted this. I don't know if it's 100% true or not, but if that is, then wow, then we are in for a ride. It really, in terms of fantasy, because you know who's actually nice? The Detroit Lions defense. They actually are nice I think they might be a good fantasy pickup.
And this was their first time in 2 years being favored betting wise going into a game. The, the,
Yeah.
the only thing is with the Lions, because I feel like there's going to be such high variance in the games, I feel like all their games are going to go over. So there's just going to be weird stuff that happens. Sometimes you're going to get a pick six and you're going to look like a genius for starting the Lions. Sometimes they're going to give up 499 yards. But the thing is, especially with Hutchinson, you're going to start racking up some sacks. So
Yep.
even if they give up the yards and it's a wonky game, they're going to get the sacks.
Yep. And their offense too. I mean,
The
obviously you
Sun
have,
God, Amon-Ra, he's
you have
he's
Amon-Ra,
unbelievable, dude. He's unbelievable.
and with him getting more targets, that actually might open up the field for Hutchinson more to get more targets, and maybe he could develop a better connection with Jared Goff. DeAndre Swift, he's done good. Jamal Williams, he's done very good so far. I was like, hey, the Lions, they have something cooking in Detroit. So for any fantasy owner, please watch out for the Lions. Obviously, I would say the player you want is Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah,
Then I would probably say Hutchinson is second.
yeah.
Oh no, in fact, no. Swift
Oh,
second,
Swift,
Hutchinson
yeah,
third.
yeah, yeah,
Because
definitely. And they have to your point, in building a franchise, they have some really good building blocks. I like Swift a lot. I think he honestly has the potential to be in that 5 to 7 range of overall backs just off of talent. And they're building the offensive line. I know a lot of guys were out this week, and so
they're not bad.
they're not bad at all. Sewell, they got Decker, they got Aiden Hutchinson on the defensive line. Okuda has looked good, being healthy for the first time since his rookie year. Dan Campbell out here building a powerhouse
Building a
over
team.
there in Detroit.
Yeah.
I would love for the Lions to be good, man. I would love for the Lions to be good.
Yeah,
Because if we've come full circle enough that in our lifetime the Browns became good, I would love for the Lions to become full circle and become good in our lifetime.
I mean, I was excited for them when they got Reggie Bush because I was like, oh man, it's Matthew Stafford, Calvin Johnson, Reggie Bush. I think they still had Eric Ebron at that time. I don't know if they did, or they had.
Yeah, he was their first round pick. I forgot about that guy, Eric Ebron.
They had a lot of good players, and I was like, oh man, bro, the Lions could probably be a problem. But then after that, they just became busts. I think they only went to like 2 playoff games. But let's transition to bust in our bust of the week, and I'm just gonna be simple. Anyone on the Bengals that's not named Evan McPherson or T. Higgins.
Yeah, I do. I do feel you on that one. The Bengals have been quite peculiar this
That
season.
was bad.
Yeah, losing to Cooper Rush, losing to Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush, bro. Joe Burrow, like, what happened, man?
Well, he's getting his ass beat again. Is what's happening. He's getting beat up in the pocket, and
I thought they
to
fixed
that,
the line.
I thought so too. But to that point, Micah Parsons is a problem.
He's a
Like he is
problem.
legitimately a problem. And that Dallas defense is sneakily
They're
kind of
pretty
good.
good.
Kind of good. For as much as we made fun of Diggs, as much as we made
He
fun of
locked
Diggs
down
all
Chase.
offseason,
He locked down Jamar Chase, and Jamar Chase probably have his worst stat-wise game so far in his young career.
that was such a weird game. And I think the Cowboys defense is better than we give them credit for, but they got to figure out something with that offensive line. You can't let Burrow they're going backwards. Like we're back in 2019. They're about to draft Jamar Chase all over again. Like I don't
Yeah.
understand what's going on. And
I
we
mean,
saw how that worked out. The guy didn't survive the season.
yeah, and now with the way how that offensive line is looking, I mean, it's probably going to negate a lot of people from drafting play for picking up or trading players from the Bengals. Because now I'm even hesitant. I know Jamar Chase is probably untouchable in a lot of leagues, but now I'm saying, yeah, I don't want him because
Dude,
I
I
don't know
was
how many
telling
times
you
Joe Burrow's going to be able to get the ball off.
I was telling you before we started, I was even with T. Higgins, I think he got like 17 points and scored a touchdown. I was like, I have no confidence in him. I feel like it's very boomer bust. And I
Yeah,
thought he was going to be a really good, solid receiver too, who's probably going to ascend because of all the attention that Jamar Chase was going to get. But that has not worked out in my favor. And I we talked about it on last year's preview for the Bengals before we started the season. What does Zach Taylor do? I understand that he ended up leading them to the Super Bowl, which made us kind of cold takes exposed us. But I with what does he do? What does he do? How does the offensive guy get outscored by Cooper Rush? So and I know it's not going to happen because it is the Bengals and they kept what was their old coach? Was it Marvin Lewis?
yeah,
Marvin
it
Lewis,
was
no?
Marvin Lewis.
They kept him for 20 years because he made 3 first-round playoff appearances or whatever the case may be.
Oh, well,
But
also that owner is notoriously cheap. He didn't want to pay the
yeah,
fine for firing him.
yeah, so I know that they're gonna keep Zach Taylor, but he should really be on the hot seat. If they didn't get hot and run into some good matches and see Mahomes absolutely just throw up all over himself in the AFC Championship game,
They caught lightning
I
in a
don't know
bottle.
how that team is looking.
Yeah, they caught lightning in a bottle last year, and I think now it's starting to come back to them. It's like, hey, you were really lucky last year.
You were lucky, but you're also stacked on offense. So like
Yeah,
we can see where the blueprint is for you guys to win games. But can you do it more consistently, considering that you have this much talent on offense?
yeah. But that was just like my biggest bust of the
Yeah,
week. Who are some of the busts of the weeks you have?
this is a sneaky bust for me. This is more about their team, but a sneaky bust for me is the Las Vegas Raiders. Anybody associated
Oh,
with the Las
Devontae.
Vegas Raiders?
Devontae had a pretty bad game.
Devontae was nowhere to be found in the passing game, and I get that he had a good game stat wise and put up numbers fantasy, but Darren Waller is not the same player.
Yeah,
He's just simply not the same player.
Hunter Renfro
He
had a terrible stat.
terrible game. Had the fumble that ended up costing them the
Two
game.
fumbles.
Yeah, and Devontae goes. He runs 40 routes, only gets 6 targets. I believe only had 2 catches on the entire game. Mac Hollins Mac Hollins.
More.
Mac Hollins, 58 snaps played, 38 routes run, outpaces both Hunter Renfro, Foster Moreau, and Darren Waller in both snaps and routes run. Whatever Josh McDaniels thinks he's cooking up over there, please
It's
stop.
not working.
Please stop. Go back to what they were doing last year when they fired Gruden and had the special teams coach working back there, and Derek Carr was cooking with Zay Jones. Like I don't understand what's going on with that offense. It's inexcusable that they lost that game. Arizona tried 6,000 times to throw away the game in goal-to-goal situation to go in with 30 seconds left. It was that game nobody wanted to win. Nobody wanted to win, and Arizona And Kyler is so fascinating to watch because he's not good unless you just say, "Let's go play backyard football." Like,
Yeah,
don't worry about the playbook. Just figure it out. And then he becomes unbelievable. And then,
yeah.
but if you ask him to stay in the pocket, diagnose coverage, okay,
He's
not
not
for
gonna
me,
do it.
not for me. And shout out to our guy Greg Deutsch.
Oh
Greg Deutsch with a
yeah.
touchdown, We had talked about him like 3 times last week, and he scores a touchdown.
That's pretty good. Oh man, that's a good bus, but I don't know if that will top mine in terms of fantasy bus. Oh man, Jonathan Taylor and Matt Ryan.
Jonathan Taylor is such a bad one. That's a bad,
7
bad week.
points for the guy who was number one last
Yeah.
year. Only like I'll read the stat line for everyone. 9 carries, 54 yards, 1 catch for 9 yards. And then Matt Ryan, anyone just go look at his stat line for the game. That automatically told you how many points he scored.
Yeah, I figured he would have a little bit more of a down game because Pittman was out and their rookie receiver, who I believe they drafted in the third or fourth round, who's their number 2 pick, Alec Pierce, was also out for the game.
Yep.
But considering that, I thought, okay, they're just going to continue to give the ball to Jonathan Taylor. Like, that's going to be – but nope, Matt Ryan had other options. He wanted to throw an interception as soon as he touched the ball. He wanted to fumble the ball. Dude, I don't understand how Frank Reich still has a job. I think the clock is ticking on his future in Indianapolis.
Oh my god. I think it's just a mess now in Indy, and I feel like there's gonna be an overhaul this
Dude, they got shut out by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
again.
Like, how is that possible?
I mean, a 0. They put up a 0.
They played the 2 teams that were projected to finish last in their division,
And
they
didn't
had
look-
0 wins to show for it.
They didn't look great against the Texans until it came fourth quarter, and just this whole game they were just bad.
Yeah, and I don't know where it really gets better. I understand that you get Pittman back, but your former first round pick Paris Campbell, who you would assume was going to step up with Pittman and Pierce out, doesn't get a single target. Didn't get 1 target. Not 1 target in the game.
It was so weird. It's such a weird thing, and that's always the thing about fantasy football. But that's what we take. We take the good with the bad.
It was just that this entire NFL week 2 was just drunk. It was just drunk.
You either had players who blew up your stat sheet or players who just
absolutely tanked it. And then actual results, the Joe Flacco and the Jets come back to beat the Browns like it's the 2012 Ravens all over again.
2 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, insane. That Jets game was crazy. Dolphins Ravens was drunk. The Arizona Oakland or Las Vegas, drunk game. I don't even know how to begin to explain that to you. Another bust. The Denver Broncos.
Wilson.
What is going on?
Yeah, that's bad.
Now
Judy got hurt.
They were counting down the play clock so that the team wouldn't get another delay game.
Yep.
That's insane. And Hackett, this is the second week in a row.
It's not looking good for him.
Yeah. It's not looking great at all. And you give this extension to Russ and let Russ cook. You saw I know this is a meme that goes around where it was like you put a hot dog in like corn and it's like let Russ cook.
It's bad. It's bad for Russ.
Yeah.
But before we move on to our last segment of talking about E2G fantasy, we want to talk about E2G Sports Network as a whole. Guys, it is a great platform not only to watch or listen to podcasts, it's a great way and platform to read your sports news. You can get all the latest news on every sport on E2G. You can either do it by YouTube, listening to various podcasts, reading various articles, or watching videos on their website, E2G Sports Network. You could also follow them on their socials of Instagram, Twitter, and so on. And if you want to know more about E2G, do not be afraid to ask me and Myles. We will kindly direct you in any way possible to E2G so you can get all your latest news on sports. But now let's get back to our scheduled programming and talk about our E2G Fantasy League. And Myles,
tough one this week.
I'll just be honest. Even if we switch Gasecki with Janu,
Not
we
making a
won
difference.
winning.
Yeah,
We
it was a tough one for the boys this week.
yeah.
But not the fret, not the fret. We will be back next week. We're definitely gonna have to make some roster moves, which will be tough to try to keep the Florida boys all
Thanks,
together.
Jameis.
But yeah,
Thanks.
thanks, Jameis, and that, we're gonna probably need to change that out because uh, the team we went up against got 25 points from Arizona's quarterback room, and then had another 28 points on the bench from the Jets quarterback room. So it was not a good matchup. Let's say our strengths did not align with their strengths, and they took advantage of it. We are currently down 161 to 111, so we're down by 50 points. And that's with us having Tariq Hill on our team and him dropping a casual 48 points for us. So it's a little bit, it's a little tough. It's a little tough right now in the E2G network. And yeah, we got single digits from basically everybody not named Tariq Hill and
Devin
Devin
White.
White. Yeah, everybody else with the solid single digits. And of course, the 14 points left on the bench with Gesicki, and that still wouldn't have even gotten us to not be in a blowout range.
Yeah. And credit to our opponent because they had Darren Waller who got 17 points. Curtis Samuel, told you guys he went off. CEH, Najee had a bad game, but still he didn't even need Najee to have a good game to beat us. But we're going to be back next week because we want to redeem ourselves.
We might have to scoop up the Seahawks and Geno Smith to be our quarterback.
Well, I mean, is it
He only
Miami
put up
related?
6 points, though. Yeah, he went to Miramar.
Okay, so we might have to do that. If not, I mean, we got to find
I
some.
mean, Jacoby Brissett went to Dwyer in Palm Beach if you want to do that, but I would rather not have the Browns quarterback on our team.
If not, we got to find a way to trade for the Ravens. We got to find a way to trade for them.
Yeah. I mean, Brashard Perryman might be a sneaky pickup for us, especially with Evans being out. I know it's going to be very boomer bust, considering we'll probably need him to get into the end zone for a second consecutive week. Travis Homer had 8 points. He's available to be snatched up.
I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna have to dig through.
We're gonna make some moves. We're gonna make some.
Yeah,
moves.
yeah, we're gonna have to find some hidden gems out there somewhere to help us out. But hey, listen. Remember, the goal was just not finish in last place.
Yeah, not finishing last.
And we won week 1, so no matter what happens, at
when
least we're
ESPN
tied.
counted us to lose.
Exactly, and no matter what happens this week, even with us losing, we can be no worse than tied for last. Not in last place, but tied for last.
Yeah. Or if anything, there might be someone who's 0-2. And as you know, we're a game above them.
Exactly. So it's about looking at the bright side, of taking away the positives. Even though we lost, and yeah,
it's only be down.
2. And we might be down 50 points, and we might have gotten Jameis and started him with his 3 broken bones in his back. Yeah, and we might have started James Cook in week 1, and he might have fumbled on his first professional carry. But guess what? We won that week. This week we lost, but we will be back regardless of what happens.
Yep, we'll be back somehow, some way. It's only a matter of time before we get there. It's only a matter of time.
And think about it. It could have been worse. We could have started Jameis Winston with his 3 broken bones in his back, or we could have started the healthy Trey Lance, who somehow broke his ankle but was standing up for a brief second. It was very confusing what happened there. Yeah. But when the play happened, he stood up. I saw him stand. I saw a 5 standing.
I guess it was all that adrenaline going through him.
But like, was it like broken? Like, was it like this way? Like, how was he standing? Like, that's the part I don't understand. I'm sure like it was adrenaline, and he probably didn't even look. He was just getting ready to go to the huddle for the next play. But like, how do you stand on a broken ankle?
We have controversy from Myles.
And it was so confusing because like even Red Zone didn't even know what to do. Like they were just like, "Oh, a cart's coming out," and so you're thinking, okay, it's one of the offensive linemen, maybe defensive tackle got rolled up on. Nope, that's Trey Lance on the back of the cart. I was like, wait, do I need to rewind? I don't even understand what I missed.
I mean, it's definitely something weird to look at, but we're definitely going to be looking forward to it. But now we just got to go with straight into it for fantasy, bro. I mean, now that week 2 is basically done, we have the 2 games tonight. We know there's definitely some guys to watch. Obviously, it's Henry, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. There's a lot of guys, but in our league that we're doing outside of E2G, who are you looking to trade going into week 3?
Who am I looking to trade for? Who am I looking to trade off of my team?
Oh, well, both, if you can give me any names.
So what I was looking for on my team, so I have Cooper who got 25 points on the bench, and I have Robinson who got me 15 on the bench. This is now back-to-back weeks where I've had Robinson on the bench and he snapped. Week 1, he goes for 19 points against Washington. Week 2, just set at 15 points against Indianapolis. And I basically have come to the conclusion that I just don't think he's going to crack my starting lineup. I don't have the trust in him. So he's definitely available. I would like to package those two. I know it's kind of a poo-poo platter of players how you would really want as far as a hierarchy, but you are getting a wide receiver and a running back that you could hypothetically start. So if I could package that for something, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I might have to keep Robinson just because Connor did get banged up in that Arizona Las Vegas game. And I'm honestly at the point where I would put Joe Burrow on the table. I mean, if he's just going to get beat up every game, there's really no point. Because then I'm going to start getting negative interceptions because this guy thinks the pass rush is coming every 5 seconds. And then he's going to start getting sacked and fumbling the ball. And I'm going to get negative points for fumbles lost.
Yeah. And that's pretty good. And I would say for me, man, if I could somehow find a way to package Mike Evans this week to someone, I don't care if they give me if they give me a 2 receiver, I'll probably take it.
You want to do Evans for Amari Cooper?
No. Myles, that might be your friend, but I'm not that much of your friend for that. You'll lose me as a friend. I mean, I would like to see him. A guy who I would like to trade for? Christian Kirk.
Yeah, he's been snapping.
He's been getting a lot of targets. So for anyone in a PPR league, you might want to go after Christian Kirk. I think that's someone you definitely want to trade for. And
yeah, he had 6 catches for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns this week against the Colts.
Yep. And another guy I think that's worth trading for, I'm actually going to say Antonio Gibson.
The only thing that scares me about Gibson is what happens when Brian Robinson does eventually come back healthy.
Yeah,
because it did seem like the coaching staff
can be out for the season.
I thought he was practicing with them last week.
Okay, then never mind.
I thought they put him on the short-term IR.
Okay,
so that means he's out at least a minimum of 4. But that would be the only thing that would concern me about Gibson because he's put up really good numbers. I think he's a good running back option and a good running back at pass catching. I think he's a good pass catching option, but they do have a lot of pass catchers out there with McLaurin, Samuel, and Dotson. But I really like that. I just don't get why the coaching staff soured on him. I mean, they had him returning kicks in preseason.
But now they're throwing the ball more out of the passing game, so at least they're giving him that.
Yeah, I didn't understand the hate that he was getting from the coaching staff going into the season. I think he's a really solid football player.
I think he's definitely something. A trade
I think he's the same as Myles Sanders, and I think Myles Sanders gets overvalued in every fantasy league that I've ever been in.
Yeah, I know. I have him.
I think he's so overvalued, and you never know when he's going to play. The guy will just not be on the injury report and then Sunday be inactive.
Yeah. I mean, it's something. But I also know, Myles Sanders could play so well. I know he's
exactly
a player.
Yeah, and I don't understand why he isn't more of a feature of their offense, why he hasn't been the last few years.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you get the random Kenneth Gainwells and then the random Boston Scotts. I just don't understand what goes on in that Philadelphia backfield. Remember, they picked up Jay Ajayi off the scrap heap a couple years ago, and he all of a sudden became a 1,000-yard running back for them. Jordan Howard, who wasn't good for anybody but the Bears and them. It's just random dudes will start popping off in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Oh, man. But that gives me a question for you to Nets. Out of all the teams, who are you trying to trade with? Because maybe this is a good way to pitch a trade to them now. You could clip this, send them that clip, and say, hey, let me know what you think.
Yeah, well, we were talking offline. I really would like to try to get my hands on Raheem Mostert. So I believe it's my boy Dominic that has Raheem Mostert,
Yeah, dog
and
side Mostert.
and this is the same team that just traded with Angel this past week, acquiring Josh Allen and Derrick Henry. So there should be some action. Maybe I could throw my fishing line in there, see if I get any bites. But I might send him one over. He does also have Damian Harris on the bench, so I would be fine with either one of the running backs. And honestly, I just don't know who I'd get back. Like, obviously, I mean, I would honestly put Kittle on the table if I could get both of them, 2 for 1. But that does seem a little bit too rich for just Kittle, who hasn't played. Uh, I would put Robinson definitely on the table, even considering he's had
I would say I
better
think you have a
numbers.
better shot with Robinson.
Yeah, I put Robinson. I mean, I would do the 2 for 2 of Robinson Cooper and try to get the 2 running backs back. The two people I'm definitely going to be offering to people is a package of Robinson and Cooper. I just don't know how many bites I'm going to get and what I'll get in return for that. But that's definitely just like how the Heat this whole offseason, their trade packages was putting together Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. Well, mine is putting together Amari Cooper and James Robinson and seeing what I can go from there.
I mean, it's something to see. I would definitely try to do that. Another thing,
What
because I
about
was
for you?
thinking of trying to get rid of Mark Andrews, but after this week, bro, I don't know if I should. Because there's one team I'm willing to trade Mark Andrews to, and this person's been asking me for Mark Andrews ever since draft night.
Yeah, he's been all over him.
He's been wanting him, but I'm like, I don't know if I should trade him to him because I just won't have a tight end after. I legit won't have a tight end.
Yeah, and like I said, that's my least favorite position to try to bargain bin shop in for is
I mean,
for tight ends because they're so hit or miss. They're so hit or miss.
because I do have Gerald Everett on my team, but I don't know how he is with the team now after last week.
I wouldn't be surprised if Herbert never looks at that dude again.
Yeah, so I might be looking to get rid of Everett. I'll see who I could trade him to. I know I have a couple of people asking me for Everett. So who knows? Maybe I could probably snag a backup tight end from one of them and maybe use that. Because if I could get a backup tight end that can get at least like 6 targets a game, I'm cool with that. Like I can live with that. And then I could trade Mark Andrews to the person who I'm talking about, and I would say, I just want one player. 1 for 1, a swap. You give me this guy, I'll give you him.
You could try Evan Ingram. He's been having a semi bounce back season in Jacksonville. He got 8 targets.
Uh,
He got
I
eight
don't
targets
know.
in this last game.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's something. If not, because I would, out of all the people who have tight ends, I know Pete asked about him.
Well, I have Kittle and Goddard.
I would like Goddard at least out of you.
I mean, but I gotta wait for Kittle to at least
Yeah, you
be
gotta wait for Kittle.
questionable.
If not, I would take Kittle off your hands.
I would be about somebody taking Kittle off my hands. I think Goddard's a solid tight end this year.
All right, let's see what we can do. All right, you got Kittle. Um,
I need another running back.
another running back. I only have
Yeah,
2 on my roster now.
yeah, I need another one. I could do. You want to trade me Lamar?
Look, I need a lot for Lamar after this week. His value just gone up.
Joey B and Kittle for Lamar.
Uh, I'll
Joey
have,
B and Kittle for Lamar. I'm trying to find
I would have
this.
to think about that because who does Lamar play next week?
I believe
New
they.
England.
Oh,
Then he has Buffalo and Cincinnati. Okay, so he has a stretch of 3 tough games after this week.
let me get Lamar and Thielen for Kittle and for
Lamar and
Kittle
who?
and Thielen for Kittle, Burrow, and I'll throw a James Robinson in there. Maybe I won't throw a James Robinson in there. I'll throw a Cooper in there.
Oh god.
We got Angel thinking over here. Ooh.
No, I can't do that.
Oh.
Lamar's a top 5 quarterback. I drafted Josh Allen and
Yeah.
Lamar for a reason.
Yeah. You should definitely keep one of those. No point in trading both of them. It
I
just
mean,
blows up
unless
the
like,
entire strategy you had going into the draft.
I mean, if you offer me a wide receiver 1 or a running back 1, I take the deal like right now.
Oh, so you want to change Connor?
A real running back 1. A real one.
I'm just saying, you want him? You can take him.
I'm good.
You can take him. He might be on the waivers in a couple weeks.
I mean, if not, I'm gonna know. I'll see what I can do with those guys. I'm definitely gonna try to get a deal done with. I'll try to see if I could get one done with Pete and maybe Ed. Because if not, I might have to. I don't know. I mean, because Nick has a couple of good players on his team that I really like, but I don't know what I would have to pay in order to get like some of those guys. Because I like Kurt.
Moises' team is also stacked too.
Yeah, Moises' team is stacked. I mean,
Stacked.
the only thing I'm just like, I don't know about Gabe Davis now.
Yeah, because he's out. Is he out or is he just on the injury report for this week?
It just shows he's still questionable.
That would be the probably more snaps for our boy Isaiah McKenzie.
Yeah, could be. And then he has Cortland Sutton on his bench.
But he's not playing this year, I thought. I thought he tore his ACL. No, that was Tim Patrick.
Yeah, Tim Patrick. Cortland Sutton, who went off, and now Judy's injured, so now it's probably Sutton or bust.
Yeah. It's definitely Sutton or bust because they don't even have Noah Fant anymore after trading him for Russ. It's gonna, or just if they lean into a running game. But I thought the whole point was to let Russ cook.
Yeah. I mean, we'll definitely see because after tonight, I definitely believe a lot of trade offers are going to be sent. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be mad. It's like, why are you sending me this?
Well, everybody's just going to be mad that my team's so good, so they're going to be like, "Yo, I have to do something.
I have to do something to compete."
Myles' team is so good that I don't know what to do with my team. I have to blow it up. I need to reset. This is the clear number 1 contender, and I need to build my team around beating the number 1 contender. But it's all right. Send your best shot. I'm here for it.
I don't know, bro, because your team might be scoring. I mean, you're going to be 2-0, but I could say Moises' team is just as good as you, but he's going to be 0-2.
Moises' team is great. Moises' team is
great. But he's about to be 0-2.
Yeah, it's going to be a tragedy that's happening to him. A tragedy. He got burnt. He just got burnt by Tua.
Yeah.
Oh, and starting Alberto, who gave him the solid donut.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Let me see. Well, I don't know what's going to happen between Dom and Peter. That one's close. It could. I don't know about that one out of all of them because, I mean, the other matchups, they all pretty much seem done except for Dom and Pete. Dom is down 111-75, but Dom has Josh Allen and Derrick Henry left to play.
Yeah, so he could rack it up in that Monday night game. We'll see how it goes.
If Allen scores 32 points again, he only needs like 10 points from Henry.
I mean, knock on some wood for him, but he should get that. I mean, if he gets 15 and 25 from Josh Allen, he's right there. He doesn't even need the full 30.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. And because it would make him 1-1, and it will make Pete 1-1. I mean,
and I'll be at the top, all lonely 2-0.
I mean, will you be the only 2-0 team?
No, I think.
Yeah, I think you will.
Damn, bro, it's good.
But you're only one game behind. I'll be one game behind you.
What about Ryan?
Oh, Ryan, bro, I crushed Ryan.
Oh, damn.
And Ryan, I have 160. He has 76.
Damn. So that's tough right there. So hopefully we don't get a Derrick Henry snapping or a Josh Allen snapping. So I mean, go.
Well, if that doesn't happen, then Pete will be 2-0, and he could technically make an argument.
Never mind. So we are rooting.
Dom is 0-1.
Okay, so we are rooting for Dominic to come back with those 2 guys.
I'm rooting for whoever wins. Whoever wins, Pete.
No, I'm rooting to be in first place. No, I'm rooting to be in first place. That's exactly where my interest lies.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. But moves are going to be made, guys, and we can't wait until we do the moves. But we'll be back for you guys on Friday. We're going to be talking about our bets for the upcoming NFL weekend. Some bets that we like, some bets that we don't like. And who knows, maybe you guys might get a parlay from us. One day we might say, hey, you guys might want to do this. You could win a couple of bucks. If it does work, cool. If it doesn't, that's our fault. But until next time, guys, we'll talk to you on Friday.
Peace.